Is trying to make your wife happy possibly the biggest mistake that a separated guy can make? That's the question that we're going to be answering today on part 3 of our 3-part series with author Randy Pryor. And that's coming up next right here on Own Your Calendar. Welcome to Own Your Calendar, the go-to resource for online business owners, coaches, and course creators who want it all: a profitable business and the time and energy for yourself and the people and things you love most. I'm your host, Stephen Box, and I'm here to help you build the systems and habits that allow you to escape the chaos and start living life on your terms. Welcome back to Own Your Calendar, brought to you by Unshakable Habits. I am your host, Stephen Box, and this is the final installation of our 3-part series with Randy Pryor, the owner of Hope for Separated Husbands and the author of SOS Reconnect. Randy helps separated husbands reconnect with their wives, even if they are done. And so far in this series, Randy has shared with us a little bit about his story, some of the struggles that he went through in his own marriage, as well as the first 2 mistakes that a lot of guys are making. So if you haven't listened to those episodes yet, definitely want to go and check them out, because mistake number 1 is trying to change her mind, which is something I think a lot of us maybe do instinctively, but it's definitely a mistake, and Randy breaks that down and gives you some really good tips for what to do instead. Mistake number 2 is trying to come at everything from your perspective instead of understanding her perspective. And Randy gives us some insights into that, and I think really some super helpful advice that we had there on the second part of this series. But today we're going to look at the 3rd mistake, which is trying to make her happy. So without further ado, Randy, tell us, why is this a mistake? Why would you not want to make her happy?
Hey, okay, that's 2 different things. Wanting her to be happy and trying to make her happy are 2 different things. I love it when she's happy, absolutely, but it's not my job to make her happy. What most guys do, and here's why it's a mistake, they feel out of control. So they do everything they can to try and regain some control, including go overboard. They buy her flowers. They do all the honeydews. They go to a list of honeydews, and they do everything they can to try and please her, to make her happy. And at this point, if they're separated, or they're even headed in toward divorce or something, that time has passed. She can see it as a manipulation, and that's really what it is. It's a manipulation, okay? And what's interesting is, if you know your Bible at all, Ephesians 5:25 does not say, husbands, make your wives happy. It's not what it says. It says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Okay, that's different. Making her happy is out of your control. Loving her is in your control, right? So we need to learn how to love her better, not more, not to the point where we're trying to do everything to make her happy. That's not it at all. So basically, let go of the idea that it's your responsibility to make her happy. That's not it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that any 2 people can solve or at least manage anything, any issue, as long as they're on the same page. But once you're separated, not only are you no longer on the same page, you're not even in the same book. And if you're headed for divorce, you're not even in the same library. So that's where you want to go. You want to get back to and reconnect, get to the place where you were when you were first married. Most people, when you first get married, you guys feel like you could take on the world, right? Because you're really connected. Okay. So the way to get to that place is to get really healthy yourself, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. Get really healthy before you start to try and fix the issues. You work on yourself 100%. 0%, and this is hard for guys, 0% on trying to fix the relationship, fix the marriage, fix the problems, right? After 14 years of doing this, Here's one of I've got lots of little phrases that I use to help me remember the concepts. If you really want to fix this, you got to stop trying to fix this. And where else on our planet does that work? It's not about, just hope that it gets better. No, that's not who we are. We need to try to fix it. Okay. But what you want to fix is yourself before you fix the issues.
Yeah, I think a good analogy here, right? Something that I deal with a lot, because one of the main areas that I work with a lot of people on is health related stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to health goals, a very common issue I see pop up, especially nowadays, is stress eating. And a lot of people, like, they're focused on, I'm overweight, I need to lose weight. But they're ignoring the fact the reason they're overweight is because their diet is poor, and the reason their diet is poor is because they're stress eating, and the reason they're stress eating is because they're stressed. And if they solve the stress, they'd solve every other problem.
Exactly. Yeah. And right now, your wife has a certain perspective, okay? She is remembering all the track records. You remember all the good times, all the bad times, all that kind of stuff, right? She's not on board with you just fixing the issues and coming back. So you want her to tilt her head and wonder, right? Okay, maybe it could be better. Maybe it could be better with him because of what I am seeing currently. Not in the talking. Stop talking. I'm sorry, guys. Stop talking. It's not gonna help. When she catches you doing something right, and not for her. Remember, if you're getting healthy and all the stuff for her so you can fix the marriage, unsustainable, temporary, she'll smell it a mile away because it's a manipulation, right? Yeah. So you do it for you because that's who you choose to be. Here's another one of my little phrases. If you'd like your wife to look at you differently, give her something different to look at. Mm-hmm. It can't be more of the same, right? That's it. And here's something else. Don't base your behavior on her behavior. You're not nice to her when she's nice to you. Yeah. You're kind because it's the right thing to do. In fact, my motto for my entire business is very simple. Just do the next right thing for the right reasons with the right heart and leave the outcome to God. Because if whatever you're doing next is the right thing to do, you never have to worry about the outcome, meaning, will it impress her? Will she like me again? Will that change her mind? None of that. If it is truly the next right thing to do and you have the right heart about it, God's got this, right? Leave the outcome to God.
Yeah. I don't remember if it was Tuesday or Wednesday, but you shared a story about one of your clients that his marriage was so bad to the point that his wife was having an affair, and she wasn't even trying to hide it. She was literally putting it on the family calendar, like, I'm going to be out of town, and he knew what that meant. He went out and started focusing on himself, improving himself, focused on being a great dad for their daughter. And he got to a point where, and we didn't say this directly, but I gathered it, is that in the beginning, there was a lot of guilt, because he knew he wasn't being the best husband he could be. And so maybe I deserve this kind of thing, right? I can't necessarily blame her for going out and being with somebody else because I know I'm not living up to my expectations. But then when he started working on himself and got to a point where he was had with the person, he was able to set that healthy boundary and go to her and say, you know what? This doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go get an apartment. And she's, hold on, wait, don't do that. I'll end it right now because I want to be with you.
Right. Yeah. Because it's not about changing your mind. It's not about just saying, okay, this is doomed. It's no good. No, 100% focus on himself, just becoming the best version of himself. And through that, she could see it. She saw it with every interaction that they had. She knows what's going on. She knows how he feels, right? But he didn't bug her about it. He didn't point out that she was doing something wrong. Doesn't need to. It's pretty obvious, right? Even she knew that. Yeah. But she started to see the changes over a long period of time. Yeah. And that's what worked, right? He gave her something different to look at, right? And he wasn't basing his behavior on her behavior. He was doing the next right thing. And she got to see that. And one of the ways that you can do this, I'll give you another example. If you woke up every morning and you spent 5 whole minutes thinking, how can I help my wife today? How can I make her life a little bit better? 5 minutes, not hours and hours, just 5 minutes, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that became a habit for you, okay? And you do it for you because you want to be that guy, okay? She's not going anywhere. Why would she? If you figured out something that you could help with, maybe she lost something, you can help her find it. Maybe she's stressed out, you can help relieve some stress. Whatever that is, think about it for 5 minutes, then go do it. Be proactive about that, right? That's who you choose to be. Then she's getting everything she needs at home. Why would she look elsewhere?
Yeah. And I think something that maybe is tricky for a lot of guys, and the reason why they do focus on trying to make her happy, and part of the reason why it's not working, is if you're just doing something to make her happy, then you're going to go to do it. And you know what? Let's even back up and let's just even say that you actually are doing it for the right reason. You're doing it 100% because it's the kind of man you want to be. But when you do it and she's leery, she's saying, this feels like an act. This feels like something he's just trying to do. As men, a lot of times we're like, that didn't work. And we abandon the ship.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It has to be sustainable. It has to be something that you choose to do. And it can't be based on the manipulation of, I'm doing this to change her mind. I'm doing this to fix the situation, right? When you decide, I want to become the best version of myself, okay? I call it 2.0, right? In my case, it would be Randy 2.0, okay? And that is actually the last S of the SOS reconnect method, okay? The last S is you want to surround yourself with a group of godly men who've already gone through it and got healthy. And they can give you support and accountability, because we can't do this alone. We're not made to do this alone. We're made to be in community, but not just guys who don't know what they're doing or who haven't been through it before. You want to learn some new behaviors, and then with the support and the accountability of some godly men, then you can make those behaviors into habits, or as we like to say, unshakable habits, right?
Yeah.
Once they become habits, that's when that she can start to believe that it's permanent.
Mm-hmm.
Not before then. As you're doing it, she's going to be skeptical. Of course she is, because you haven't been this guy for a long time, right? For as long as she's known you. Yeah. So cut her some slack, give yourself some grace, and just keep working on it. And if she asks you, how do I know this is permanent?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to tell her, well, you know, I know that we can do better and it's for the marriage and all that. No, how do I know this is permanent? I like it. I like the direction I'm headed, like we said in the last episode. I like this, and my plan is to not only continue doing this, but do it even more, because I like where I'm headed and it feels right to me.
Yeah.
That's a much more realistic answer and a lot more believable to her. Now, cut her some slack when she says, I don't buy it. I know what you're trying to do, and it's not going to work with me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just give her lots of grace. Understand that answer for her is based on her experience with you.
Yeah.
Let her have that. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You don't need to talk all about it and here's why and here are all the reasons. No, just be understanding. No, I get it. I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I did in the past? Yeah, that was wrong.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my best not to do that anymore. But that's all you can say. Don't make foolish promises. I promise I'll never do that again. Show her. Don't tell her. Show her.
Yeah, I will bring this up because you actually brought up this really great point about especially if you're a Christian, find other Christian men that you can get into groups with. And I'm actually going tonight we have a men's church group at our church. And one of the things that we actually talked about in one of the sessions here recently, and I didn't look up this number, so I'm hoping I'm getting this right because I'm going off some memory here. But it was something like 95% of men, by the time they're age 25, have experienced a significant trauma in their lives. Guys, I know it's hard for us to admit, but even the most manliest man in the world has some baggage that we have not admitted that we have, that we need to let go, and some changes that we need to make.
Absolutely. I believe it 100%. The world teaches us to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. Otherwise, we're weak, and that's just foolish. Reach out, surround yourself with a godly group of guys. And if you can find a group that guys that have already gone through this and got healthy, that's the best thing. And how much can it help? Infinitely. In fact, one of our guys was divorced already. He was divorced for 2 solid years by the time he reached out to me. Okay. Not only was he divorced, but his wife blocked him on his phone, so he couldn't even contact her. But he said, you know what? I just want to become a better me. He'd been married a couple of times, and he said, the only common denominator here is me, so I want to work on me. So he joined the program, and there was an occasion where he could reach out to her and send her a card for a personal anniversary that she had coming up. So we helped him craft a nice little message to her, and she got the card, immediately unblocked him. They started talking, and they started dating, and now they're back together as a couple. They're back together.
Yeah.
That happens with God's help. It doesn't happen because we do all the right stuff. We have to give it to God. He joined the program, surrounded himself with a godly group of guys, and that's how he got to the place where now they're back together, even though they've been divorced for 2 years.
Yeah. And I think so much of it, honestly, is as men, we have a tendency when we first meet a woman to go over the top, be this super romantic person and try to woo her and all these things. And then as we get comfortable and work gets busy and expectations grow and all these things, it's easy to get away from that person that we were. And hopefully you didn't do those things just because you were trying to manipulate her into a relationship. Hopefully you were doing those things because the young version of you truly wanted to do those things. You wanted to shower her with that attention. So if that was genuine in the beginning, then you should be excited about getting back there.
Sure, it's really possible. That's the great news. It is possible. The hard news is there's only one way to do it. It's not about manipulation. It's not about trying to change your mind. It's not about just trying to be clear, right? We all think that clear communication, that's the answer. That's not. The answer is connection, or in a case of a separation, reconnection.
Yeah.
In fact, what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, I'd like to offer all of your listeners or audience a free reconnection planning session. Yeah. My heart goes out to anybody who has to go through this. It's so awful. I'd rather go through another kidney stone again. And it's terrible. Yeah. So if you'd like, I'd be glad to set them up with a free reconnection planning session. And you go to my website.
Yeah, if you want, send me a link to that, and I will make sure to put that in the show notes for it. So for any guys out there that want to take advantage of that, we'll have the link in the show notes for you. No need to crash your car or anything to write anything down. Just go to the show notes afterwards and check that out. So, Randy, any final closing thoughts, just wrapping up the week here, that you want to leave anybody with?
Absolutely. Yeah, the website, if you're just listening, the website is randypryor.com. But if you're driving and you can't write it down, just go to sosrandy.com. It'll take me to the same place. And here's the final words. This is much more important than you. This is much more important than your marriage. This is legacy stuff. Because how are your kids going to learn how to do this? Okay. I didn't learn this from my parents. My parents have been divorced since I was 3. And my mom was married 5 times. So I learned really well to make money because that's what was important to her. Okay. So pass this on. Whoever you become, this is your choice. You get to choose who you're going to become. And that is worth passing on to your kids and to their kids. So you can do it, guys. God bless.
All right. Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Randy, for joining us this week and sharing your insights to help men who are separated reconnect with their wives, even if she's done. All right, guys, that wraps up part 3 of our 3-part series with Randy. I hope you guys got some tremendous value out of that. I really feel like Randy brought so much value over these 3 episodes. And if you agree and you want to take the next step of working with Randy, if you are a man who is going through a separation or you're already separated, his contact information is below. But I would also just ask if you could share this episode out. if you know someone specifically going through this situation that could benefit from it, share it directly with them. If you're not sure if you have someone in your circle who's going through this, maybe just share it out on social media. And that way, if someone is going through this, they can also find this episode and get this valuable information as well. And before I sign off, I do want to let you know that on our next episode, I've got something special for the coaches out there, especially if you are dealing with imposter syndrome. I'm going to be talking all about how do you overcome that? How do you deal with feeling like an imposter as a coach? It's something I can tell you guys I went through myself. I think every coach does, but I think it's super important that I give you the tools to be able to overcome it so you can be your best self as a coach. But until then, this is Stephen Box reminding you, as always, today is a great day to break free from the chaos and start living life on your terms.